okay, for the exercise today is for everyone to go through the exercise yesterday, the 3 levels of impacts, the 5R: rules, resources, roles, relationships, results, direct and indirect impact, and then collective leadership. And in the context of the FS project, maybe Isaac helped to share the FS ecology. Okay, and for the first one, since we are co-facilitating between me, Kat, and Rizlan.
All right. Morning, everyone. Morning who participate online. So yeah, we decided yesterday we will do 4 of the exercise from the system thinking crash course, which the first one is 3 levels of impact. You can find it in module 1. And the second one is 5R, which is rules, resources, roles, relationship, and result, also in module 1. And then the third one, we will do direct and indirect impact, or 6 types of solution, I think, in module 2. And then the final one, we will do the collective leadership, which we can find in the module 3. So, I will remind you again about the timing and the structure of this exercise. So each exercise we will do in 40 minutes, which is 20 minutes of exercise or discussion between your group. And then we will come back after 20 minutes and we will have sharing. Anyone, not tidak semestinya semua akan kongsi, but any group that really want to share what they're talking about, we have 20 minutes of that. And yeah, in the spirit of sharing lah, what you guys learn, or there's something interesting that you want to share or anything. So I guess you already know what is the 3 levels of impact. Yang they talk about the direct impact, the scale direct impact, system change, and system change mindset shift. So that's the one lah. For the people here, we will give you the new apa orang bilang worksheet lah, but it's the same from yesterday actually. So yeah, we encourage you to be broad, but it is better if you guys can stay within our ecology lah, within our landscape of FS. Meaning you can talk about the whole ecology if you want, and then maybe the second exercise for the 5R, you want to zoom in a little bit with the program, SPO, lower kinabatangan, forest, organic farming. And then the third one, direct and indirect impact, you want to zoom in again, you do the project. Maybe HHH, HEH dan sebagainya lah. And then the collective leadership, you can do more specific or more broad. It's all depends on you. And you can also stick on one topic for these 4. It's all no rules here, but it is good to stay in the landscape of FS lah, in the landscape of our work, for example Sabah punya work and ecology. So you can use the ecology as your reference and navigate your discussion from there lah, whichever part on the FS ecology. So I hope that's clear. And the online people, we will break you into the group lah as usual. And after 20 minutes, come back to the main room and we will have a sharing session for 20 minutes for each exercise. Okay? All right, yes. How was the discussion? So we have 20 minutes to share. So yeah, it's open for everyone to share. Doesn't mean everyone must share, but if you want to share, you share.
I think for our group, group between Nev, Andrew, and Andro. So in our group is that what we did is like we did a funnel exercise in a way that we dive down to the 1 or 2 words that we have for our direct impact, scale direct impact, system change, and system change, mindset shift. For us, the direct impact, the words that we got is engagement and support. Scale direct impact is participation. System change will be the relationship, and for the mindset shift is solidarity. So that's the word that. Yeah. So that's the one word that the three of us from different project come up with a common theme. Thank you.
Rebecca here. Our group, we're talking about, we try to keep it simple because as everyone knows, well, JCAC is not simple. We talk about the first direct impact. We focus on habitat loss and deforestation. Then how do we directly impact this issue? So we imagine if we are the only person, concerned about this, what would we do, right? So why are we losing habitat, having habitat loss and losing the forest? Oh, okay. By the way, we started off by saying like Sabah is going botak lah, as in we are losing the trees, yeah, because deforestation and everything. So why is that? Because of the community, they plant oil palm on the land, but it overlaps with whatever animals that is staying in the forest on that land. So let's say there's orangutan and elephants there, but someone clear that place to have plant their palm oil. We are concerned about the elephants and whatever's in the forest. So we will talk to them lah. Just say, hey, this actually where the orangutan stays. Can you stop, taking away their homes and all that. So that is directly what we would do. Secondly, how do we scale this? What if there is like 20 kampongs people doing it, right? So we have more empty patches where they clear and then they plant their old palm. So we need our friends, like FS, Mega is doing it, sending people to talk to them, engage with the smallholders. So we'll get more people to do the same thing as the first one. System change is where we tackle the root cause of the problem. So why are they doing that? Because oil palm is their livelihood, their income. So they are planting oil palm to provide for their families, right? The way that now what we are doing is the idea is to provide them training where they will have use less land but increase the yield. That means have more quality fruits, and if you have a certification RSPO, then you'll be able to sell at a higher price. So that's the idea lah. Then the last one, system change, mindset shift, is we need to tell them that is less land doesn't mean less money, because you get to sell more quality products.
Hello. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Audrey. My group is Ken Wilson and Kenneth Long. Double Ken. So our discuss is we choose media awareness. We use the Pan Borneo Highways project. So for the direct service, first we share the information. We take videos, we take photos, and then we will post it maybe in our page lah. And then for the scaling direct services, let's say when Rizlan saw our posting kan, and then he will share. So everyone will share the post. And then for the system change, we use media to make people visible, to be known. Let's say with, for example, Normala cases. we know that everyone wants the road, but we think that Pak Borneo is good. We don't know who's the people that affected with the Pan Borneo kan begitu. So they didn't know. So media will help um, to share siapa yang kena kesan lah begitu. So for the system change, the mindset, our group think that maybe everyone think that having a road is good, but when the road is kena buat in a wrong way, dia memang affect dia punya side memang tidak terlalu bagus lah. So we hope that from the media will make people change their thinking about top development. So itu saja lah. Okay, Kakak. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. We are group 3. Two. Stash, me, and Isaac. So, in our discussion, we discussed the role of communications within the system, and that is handled by Stash. And we started off with ironing out some of the complexities that were faced, which some examples here are manpower or the capacity, the context and information given, inconsistent responses, and the leadership structure. So there is actually a diagram here that Isaac drew, which is very comprehensive and sums up the situation pretty well. Now, do you want to explain it and then I hold it and point? You can start over.
So the current system, in the center is the sun. Sorry, I didn't label these. And the outer circle is communication, which is basically Stash. And the outer ones are the projects here. And the way Stash receives information is she goes to each project, asks somebody, gets the information, she has to crunch the information to make it more digestible content for the public. But this is all her. She has to go all around all these projects, right? And a lot of the things that she feels that were issues were like the lack of manpower because it's being stretched out. And also when she she goes to a project, she asks questions, the response can be quite inconsistent. Or sometimes no response, right? Or not enough response. And then if you see here in this bottom part, this is Sasha's
Power bar.
Her energy bar, right? And she has to give, okay, this is 25%, and then she's already at full capacity. But the output is only a 25% output, right?
So that's when so that's where the Tang crew comes into play, right?
So we help her a little bit.
Yes.
We add the power bar.
But the reality of the situation is that on top of with Tang in place and so very gratefully helping Stash with all the responsibilities of communications, there is an added responsibility on her part to facilitate Tang PD, right?
Yeah.
So
You go.
right.
Oh, okay.
So that means that there's even lesser output for all of these projects because some extra capacity, more of her capacity, a little bit of her capacity is being outputted here, just so she could communicate and ensure that everybody is on the same page, they receive the right information and get everything that they need to perform their work and get the deliverables out. Right. So solving this, this is why 20 minutes was not enough for us, but we had to kind of look into the complexities that were at play and how were we going to solve it. So let's say, for example, capacity manpower, and the primary one that we actually looked into was the leadership structure, and it's as Stash had described it, it was really leaning towards collective leadership where everything was quite free flowing, but as we learned yesterday, that might not be suited for different situations. And what would help her is actually another diagram that we drew out. It's a lot of drawing in this group. Okay, so you definitely will not understand this just by looking at it. But what's happening here is this is the free flowing structure, right, of leadership, and this can still be at place. But if you take a look a little closer to Stash's part in the system and her links and where she connects to, what would suit her a little better is if there was a bit more direct or towards or not as free flowing. Perhaps there was a more structured or a shift towards the left side of a more top-down leadership. But so what that looks like is basically perhaps a suggestion is a technical advisor for all of the projects where this person's would you like to speak actually?
Yeah, so what we came up with was like the direct impact. So so the new structure that we came up with was as me as comms, the technical advisor will be giving me the content and information and then directing that to me, so at least I know it's like a funneled information as well, and then I put it out into social media, I communicate that to our general audience and the funders. So with that, it's more
Cohesive.
yes, cohesive information.
So then we went into the 3 levels of impact. Okay. And what would happen if we were to change that? So the direct impact would be information and content that is more accurate and cohesive and to the general public and funders. Oh no, I think that's scaled direct. Okay, moving on to the scale direct impact. What this would mean is increase engagement, because now her capacity to output all of that doesn't. It's pushing beyond just 25%. So with an increased engagement, it's raising awareness within the general public, as well as potentially, not potentially, but funders as well. In terms of the systems change, as we have mentioned earlier, there are technical advisors in each projects who recognize the responsibility of conveying this information on what's happening on ground to those in the macro design part of this society. Now, the mindset shift is a change in attitude where the information streamlined to the general public and funders is more cohesive and consistent, and the education or the awareness that's being conducted in place is more impactful in that sense. So I'd love to hear some highlights from the session, and maybe this is a time to converge your findings and reflections. So still have the focus on your whatever you discussed in terms of your projects, but also keep in mind the larger system. So anyone wants to share some highlights? Maybe top 3 highlights from your particular group for all 4 exercises. So basically, I'm asking you to synthesize all 4 in your mind and come up with top 3 highlights.
For me, the top 3 learnings today and also yesterday is understanding what kind of what the intervention that we do actually have direct impact and what is indirect impact, and led me to see, okay, maybe we need to put more focus on efforts on interventions that has indirect impacts. So have to and also the 5R, looking at understanding at what is the rules at play by the key stakeholders, what is the resources, and it helped me to understand what is direct impact, what is indirect impact, and it helps me to guide for future planning lah.
So in my group, we spoke about how technical experts can contribute to the future, and based on the collective leadership and the 5R and all that. So we spoke about how probably the technical expertise can be exponentially spreaded through citizen science to our colleagues, to our kampong partners, and to our stakeholders and all that lah. We spoke about how it could be the capacity building and sharing of responsibility to do it lah. But what caught my attention was also when we shared that kind of vision on the impacts, the direct impacts and all that. Jennifer reminded us that sometimes when we go for meeting, don't be too full of ourselves, saying that, oh, we have all the data and the rest of the world, we don't care what you say. So that is also quite important, because sometimes we go for a certain meeting, people with the most data, they tend to dominate the discussion and all that. So that is a very good reminder also. When we do citizen science, we have facts and all that. Nonetheless, don't be too full of ourselves. Don't be too caught up with all the data that we have. We have to open our ears to listen to others also. So that's my takeaway. Thank you.
Yeah, like e.g. that we have all the data. Hey, can I just say I didn't actually say don't be too full of yourself. That's Casey's. All I said was just be careful with all the information that you have and how you then tell people about it, because I have met many individuals and organizations, people in organizations where with that knowledge, they become quite intimidating. And I find it intimidating to even have a conversation with them or join, because I feel that I feel really like dumb and, a bit silly and a bit, bodoh lah, like that, because, but that's the problem. If you have so much information about some issues, and then you tend to unintentionally dismiss dismiss certain things, certain people or certain opinion that could be dangerous. So all I was just saying, because it was just a casual chat initially with my group, with Sam and Yana, was that just always keep the end objective in mind. It will never be perfect. You'll never really finish there, but just learn to enable the people who had to go through those issues, who are dealing with the issues, enable them so you can let go at some point and let them be the expert. Always keep putting it back to them, because the cause is not, it's not about you, it's not about FS, it's about them. So always just keep that in mind in everything that we're doing.
Jennifer, I just wanted to clarify, when you say them, who is them? You say put it back to them. Who are you talking about?
Who are involved in the issue that you're dealing with the community, with the people. So make sure in a way, the responsibility and the power is theirs, you know, because there's a danger if you're working so hard on something, it becomes your problem and it becomes your cause. But I know FS deal with so many causes, but eventually it must not be about the organization. At this point, it's about FS. So it must not be about FS. It's about the cause. And that's the thing anyway. I mean, that's why I think this kind of what we're having now is wonderful, because it's like a reflective moment. Is the leadership, is what we're doing really creating the impact that we want? So I like it. I like it what we're doing here. As same with the last mountaintop.
Thanks for that reflection, Jennifer. I think you've joined us in 2 mountaintops as a practice. I think we are always reflective. So what you've seen in the couple of mountaintops is something I think we've done for 10 years, always looking inward to look at our processes and our approach. And I think because you are not within the FS team at least not at the moment, you are sort of an outsider, but inside. You think we're talking about ourselves, but it's because we are in an internal process, and you're seeing that. But when data and sharing, like today's meeting, it actually does not have even a logo or anything. It's always about the issue. But you are, if you like, at the core at the moment. What you're attending is something, you're at the core of FS, and we're talking about how we work. Does that make sense? So
yes,
of
yes,
course,
yes,
what you're gonna see is that we are self-reflecting. But I think when we deal with all our stakeholders, it always goes back to the issue. And one of the things that we feel is a common ground is to share the findings or the knowledge that we've come to through a lot of hard work. So we actually feel it's our responsibility to share. But I think what you're saying here is don't come to the table full of it, because it can be intimidating. So I want to hear that, and I think that's right. In fact, that's also the very sense I had today in the meeting with Pan Borneo. I think they've been intimidated by a whole team of quote-unquote experts with a lot of information. You see what I mean? We don't think they are, but today it was all, a bunch of them and then just me, and therefore we could have a constructive conversation. But if I come maybe with 10 people, everybody with their different expertise, it would have been intimidating. Does that make sense? So I think this points exactly to what you're saying, Jennifer. So that's, as an outsider insider, that's super helpful. Did I hear you right, Jennifer?
Yes, yes. I did say that I am an outsider, and what's wonderful is every time I speak to any one of the FS team, like when I say, how do you deal with a problem? What do you do when you first? And then they've got, oh, we have FDIC and all this. I obviously know you've got a system in place, and it's really wonderful. And obviously and like you've been dealing with a lot of things for many years, so you have looked at, and the way you lead them too, I know that they don't think like how a lot of people think, typical government way of thinking. Because what I was saying is, don't let that issue be so you like that becomes your life. I mean, every one of them, right? I was just telling them, don't let that become your life, because FS have to facilitate, get people together, let them find solution, and then go again, find another thing. That's what FS's duty is. Because I said, it's not like you're a Ministry of Fisheries or agriculture, and then that's forever your job, right? So just don't forget that, so that when you let go, then you just let go. You've already taught them, you equip them with everything that they need to do. You equip them with knowledge that you've managed to also gather from different people, and then teach them how to deal with it and let go. So everything that we learn from all this, what we're doing now, is good, because it strengthens them, their knowledge as to how to handle, and then to look back again at, is it effective? What you're doing, is it so far effective? If you've been doing it for 5 years, has it been effective? Do you still carry on the same way, or do you change? But then at some point you must let go. And you have to know when you let go, it doesn't have to be perfect. It probably will never be perfect. But as long as you know when you came in and when you left them, to let go of them and let them handle it, you've done something better. And I think that's more important, really, than solving everything.
Yeah. Are you guys able to hear what you're saying? Yeah, I think this is very, very pointed and helpful advice. I mean, you can apply that to, let's say, I don't know if Yana is there, but let's say PES. We've worked for it for 3 years. We're at a particular point. Is this a point to let go? I think we decided that it was not, because if we let go now, it will die a natural death. So there is a lot of agonizing and thinking has to go into is this the point at which we let go, or or continue for 1 or 2 more years?
Neville said before, he said when he got into more of the leadership part, and then he's trying to learn to let go, and then but it turns out that letting go creates more chaos. And then maybe a good way a good way to do is to put structure first before letting go. Is that right, Neville? I think, yeah, you said like that.
I think
Yeah.
he meant, that's one interpretation which I think is useful, but I think what he meant was letting go in terms of the team self-organizing, but then he finds that it descends into chaos, and then you have to put some structure into it again. But I think that goes both ways, whether it's our own teams or whether it's our partners that we're working with. So it's both ways, letting go. And sometimes with the communities that we work with, particularly Jennifer, Joan, you're not, like in a long-term way, you've not seen the projects. Sometimes they feel abandoned when we let go. And I think the PES communities, for example, Yana, the 3 communities, I think if we let go at this point in time, they will feel that we abandoned them. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, they often say this, you like all the other NGOs come in, do a project for 2 years and then go away. So it's a fine line lah, the tension between staying, letting go. Okay, Casey, your group, you're good with the two things we have there?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Another group?
Okay, I just would like to add because myself, Nev, and also Enro is we are from different project. The takeaway that I can get from here is number one is how to practice the tools in our approach in our approach towards the system. That's number one. Number two is how to use the tools in connecting the dots in the system. I would like to explain the first one, how to practice the tools, because here we have 4 tools, and in a way that what we have discussed in our team just now, that we managed to find a common ground and practice each of the tools, and then towards the end we make a sum up that these tools are available to us. It's just a matter of us when and how to use the tools in the approach towards the system. Why I say the system is because the 3 of us are from different projects. Okay, and then on the second one, why I say connecting is because the 3 of us managed to connect what is our common ground, despite having a different project. Okay, so that's from me. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Rebecca here. Just keep it simple. My 3 top takeaway is first, I glad to learn another new tool which helps to simplify my work, the complexity of it. As you know, the JCSC, so like the 5 R's help me to identify the system. Second one is because the tools help with that is it gave me clarity on the bigger picture. And lastly, it helps me to prioritize the issues. Yeah, to look at it at different perspective, like can put it that way. Yeah, so yeah, that's my top 3.
One of the things, one of the highlights I got is similar like Rebecca. These tools that we learned recently really help put things into perspective. But then another thing that I think we can acknowledge is that whenever we face an issue, we tend to or prefer to come up with something new or change something, but maybe we can also consider looking into the existing systems that we have. Like for example, just now we were doing the 5 R's and then we chose the legal system. And then when we were talking about it, we actually already have laws and policies in place that address certain issues such as riparian conservation. And we can see some of the companies that apply this policy, it actually works. I mean, drop punya riparian cantik. So it's just a matter of implementing these existing tools. I mean, across similar issues. So yeah, maybe that's just one of it, utilizing tools or systems that we already have. Yeah, thank you.
We have 17 points here. Maybe you want to point towards the 17 points. There's about, indirect, direct impacts. There's a lot about collective leadership that I see come up. What is the balance between you guys seem to like the language of the letting go versus or in tandem with structure.
I also like that there's a lot of points on process. For example, the one that Jennifer contributed about don't come to a table full of our data, full of our findings, but maybe come with humility and with openness to listen. So I see quite a few things about leadership, collective leadership, dynamic leadership, adaptive leadership. There's plenty about comms, comms becoming the crosswalks in the middle. How does comms work within the whole ecology? Then 16, 17, it's about relationships stretching across the landscape. A lot of it on trust and how do we develop capacity to produce stories, that even the community can tell themselves. There's some about the tools being helpful to gain perspective, to simplify complexities, to help get clarity and to help prioritize. I like the point about instead of coming up with new solutions, examine, policies, laws already there, but not being implemented or not being enforced. So I think there is certainly something about tools, the importance of the right tools, I guess, not just any tools. Okay, let's pull up the ecology. You guys online are seeing this, right? So remember we started in the middle, living landscapes, living seascapes, nature, culture, economy, the 4 focal areas, and then the 5 programmatic areas, and then opening up to a suite of projects. I believe it's 15, maybe. So the distinct partners and projects in the white, and then in the yellow, the whole suite of projects, and then your cross-cutting areas with FSI at the tip, your 3 pillars, governance, finance, coordination, and then the DNA. So some of the things that came up here around direct and indirect impact, around collective, dynamic, adaptive leadership, technical expertise and citizen science, our process, how we interface with our stakeholders, how we come to the table, looking at the system within the systems within the system, how are we communicating, what tools are we using, what solutions are we driving, widening perspectives, prioritizing, clarifying. Are you seeing this in a different way? Are you seeing more dimensions that maybe you didn't see before? Are you seeing linkages and are you understanding things that maybe you didn't understand before? Or maybe when someone gives you a 3D image and there's something there within the 3D image, but you kind of have to squint to look to see it. Are you seeing anything that you didn't see before? Are there things that should be there that you're not seeing? Are there implicit things that need to be made explicit? So things that we think we know are there, we understand that they're there, but others may not understand that they're there. You want to zoom out?
Cynthia,
Yeah, Yana, go ahead.
the community engagement part, at the cross the needle because I am now looking at the indirect impact lens. Maybe we can change it to community empowerment. Community engagement, it has direct impact, but if we change it consciously to do all the things that we are doing, not only engaging but empowering at the same time, maybe that will change the way we try to make more direct impact. It's just a thought.
Okay, Ken doesn't like it. You want to say why? Online, I don't know. I can't tell. But
I had problems with this term empowerment. When it first came, it sounded to me quite patronizing. It sounded like communities had no power of their own, and that we were going to arrive and we were going to empower them. I know that's not the way that you're understanding it and why you like it. I know that, but I'm just telling you what I had. So for me, engagement means you let the you give the community a chance to be part of the process, and then they bring their own power to the. So that's why I have difficulty with it. I know that's not what people meaning, but that's just the history of the language for me.
I just thought that if engaging, it's only direct impact. I mean, when we did the proposal, I mean, when we try to do the implementation schedule together with the communities on ground, my experience was that I really try as best as I can to make them participate. Not only engaging them, okay, this is how we're gonna do it, this is how we're gonna do it. It's, I don't know, it's like the word engaging is, it's not active. They're not like participating actively. That's when I try to see that the, you know, the direct and indirect impact words.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, Yana, but let's go back to the ecology. I think if you look there, there's a reason there is a needle, right? From the engagement, it goes to citizen science. The needle is also progressing. Then there's spatial science, move up. From spatial science, move. You have legal innovation. You have partners, collaborations, and exchanges. So this is a continuum. You are facilitating and designing, and then there's comms and there's FSI. So these things to me are all very active. But to begin with, there's always engagement of the communities in any location that we're working with. Just because we engage, it also doesn't mean we empower. And I always believe empowerment is a two-way street. We don't, as Ken says, I don't think we go in there on our white horses and we empower them. I know that I've been hugely empowered by every one of the, you know, any work that we've done. Empowered by the relationships, empowered by the partnerships, empowered by the changes we've been able to do together.
Casey here. So for the past 6 years, I realized something that we constantly do, that is democratizing everything we do. We go to kampong, we share what the government tells us, and we share what we did, they share what they did. And we are constantly sharing and sharing and sharing, and that's how they become empowered. That's how they also have all the data. They also know what is the budget. They also know how the work plan, everything. So I think the strength of what we do is we kept on democratizing to many levels. Even when they go for meeting, when we go to meeting with NRO and all that, the orang kampung also come along and things like that. I think that part is a very strong philosophy, and it should be reflected somewhere.
Is it something to be put in the DNA?
Yeah, I let everybody decide. But for me, I think it should be put lah, because that is the the very core of all the things that we do in so many years.
Yeah, and,
Do we
and
have-
the thing about the DNA is it is a value or principle. You know,
Is
so
it
it's how we do
trust in the
things.
DNA?
Trust is not there. Doesn't mean it can't be there.
Maybe I have this idea. What if we put roots under the Rafflesia, and then that's the democratic part?
I think Casey is pointing out something that is quite deeply true about all of our programs. This idea of direct democracy, and I'm wondering whether it's something like community engagement that needs to be in the cross-cutting arrow. I mean, it's just as community engagement is not a program in the way that spatial science is, but it seems to me that this notion of direct democracy is something like citizen science or community engagement, which is something that appears in so many of our programs. And if we use a term like direct democracy rather than democracy, it also gives us a way to talk about what we mean by that, as you heard Cynthia doing yesterday, because it is different from representational democracy or what most people tend to think about democracy. So it might be stimulating like that.
I do think that if you go back to if you zoom out the cross-cutting, those are things we do. Whereas to me, the DNA is the values and the principles. So I think democracy, and whether it's direct, dialogic, or distributed, it is a value, I think. When we did this nature, culture, economy, it was this quite a deep discussion where we were trying to understand nature and us as part of nature. And we saw that nature unfolds, and it's the culture grows from nature, and the economy grows from the culture. So it was, if you like, our kind of origin story, if you like, of forever are we working on the economy, and why is the economy directly linked to nature? Does that make sense? So it wasn't so much that it's about FS. I guess maybe it's an FS belief.
Well, I think FS also believes that identity is very important to our relationship to the land and the sea and to economy and so on. So I actually like Samsudin's idea that we add identity.
What about nature, culture, identity, and economy, rather than identity after economy? What do you guys think about that? So it's nature, culture, identity, economy. I put identity here. I think these are all important concepts. We've got identity, we've got direct democracy, democratizing, trust, relationship, roots under Rafflesia, community empowerment or organizing, or I saw someone say enable. See, Vivian's suggestion is that ethic goes from a project to the cross-cutting needle, because ethic should be in every project. I think that's a key point. Also, at the same time, we have an ethic project, because we're trying to get ethic into the law in Sabah, meaning the real law of free, prior, and informed consent. Not just ethic yang pergi kampung, make sure you inform, but actually the law of ethic. You see what I mean? So that's why it's a project, right?
Yeah, what Cynthia said is right, because we know that FPIC is in the sense of FS punya work, and I think it's not needed for now to put in the middle there, because it's already on the ecology itself as a project. And yeah, I think it's okay to put just in the project for now lah.
But it's a good point. At some point, it should move to the needle. When the government has taken charge of it, so this is an area where we can't abandon, because if we abandoned it, I don't know if the secretariat is ready to pick it up, and it may fall. So we can't take it off lah. But then it should become a systemic part of FS. And we do FPIC, but we even don't do FPIC the way the law is asking for it, which is ada surat, ada certificate, you know what I mean? It's a very structured process, the real FPIC.
As you saw yesterday in the training materials that Ashok had put together, most social change thinkers who look at systems theory focus on an idea that if you understand a whole system, you can change one small thing and you get big outcomes in the other parts of the system. Remember the example they gave of Raj. He wasn't trying to change everything that is broken about the US justice system. His theory was he could do one small thing and the whole system would behave differently. Okay, that's how most social change theorists use system theory. They try to argue for a very narrow, very discrete intervention. That's why all of their guidance was start with a big vision, but then tell us one thing you're going to do. Okay, that's a very powerful, good theory of systems change, but it's not the theory of systems change that we have here. So that idea of making a very small intervention in a big system and get a big result is a very good idea, but it's a different idea than this idea. This idea is not that. This idea, as Cynthia said, is take a whole system to change a system. We're not looking for one thing. If we change in Sabah, everything will be better. We're looking for lots and lots of things, and we're looking for how the different things that we do themselves connect, so that we don't think that we solve the problem of oil palm with FPIC and then we solve the problem of forest with something else. We think FPIC will help solve many problems. So it's a bigger idea. I think a more exciting idea, but not the usual idea of how people think about systems theory. And I think that's something that Forever Sabah should be showing to the world to think about.
I just now I was thinking when Yana said the roots under the rafflesia, and then when Jennifer pointed out about the needles, how about the needles becomes it's like a clock, but the clock hand is the roots, really fancy roots. So it's like going out, cross-cutting amongst all the projects in a form of roots. The necktie, the needle.
So just to remind those who don't remember, the needle actually is a clock. So at the where it is at the moment is where we are in the 25 years. So we're now at something like 8 years or 7 years of 25. So it will move. This needle is not static. When we're halfway through the 25 years, it will be down there at 6 o'clock. So I don't know a lot about the root idea, but maybe the root can be a needle. Who knows, right? So one of the thoughts today was that this spot here comes wants to be the crosswalk here. Actually, if you see an old version of the ecology, we did it like this. We have like this. This was before we had the programs. We had the suite of projects. I can't remember how many projects there were. But for everyone, we literally had like stars coming out. And that was our partners. So everyone would say who the partners are. Every single one. And then it became like a sun. But it became too many that we took it out. There's like hundreds. Maybe you need to zoom into this. So we did make a call to take it out because it was just too many. And then some people were like, wow, and our name is not there. So we had, as it evolved, it became too much information. And it became too much information and we took it out. Can you guys see this guy online? Last time, all these sun rays used to be there, and it put the sun rays was actually words. It was all the partners.
I like that. I like that.
Every single project had all the partners, but it became too many, and sometimes we forgot somebody, and they like, whoa, you forgot us. And we're like, okay, this is like a minefield. Like people are gonna say, why are they not there when we have a new partner? So we decided to take it off. Doesn't mean it can't come back lah. I just want to, but I do want to. There are many evolutions of the ecology. That was one.